back to the Drunken. Today, we are drinking a margarita. Not just any margarita, Gatorade margarita. Basically the same, I don't know how loud that is, same recipe. You get the 2 parts tequila, 1 part orange, and 1 part lime juice, but you also add a scoop of Gatorade, which I've had up before on my channel before. This time, instead of using De Leon, because, as you can see, I'm dangerously low, and I don't have any reposado. I need to make a trip, but I'm using 1800. I'm using my whiskey glass that we got with the ball ice, and therefore I don't need to pour the ice. You can just straight pour it from here. So just a little margarita at a time. And I'm going to actually put this in the fridge, cold in between. And obviously the ice is still going to melt, but that's okay. It'll melt less than the ambient temperature is colder. So yeah, there we go. We get a little margarita. And I'm using the Gatorade Frost again because I like that flavor. So yeah, Gatorade margarita. And it's just kind of a cool cup because you get this the spacing around it. It helps your hand not warm up the liquid because there's space. So you got little insulation chambers. So it's kind of cool. I like it. On to the game. We are playing a new game today. So yeah, I'll be right back after the introduction. Eventually. Alrighty, we're playing Factorio today. I did do a Twitch stream once with Factorio. I don't know how long, and obviously the whole Twitch thing didn't last very long because I can't really do a schedule. I didn't want to schedule drinking. It just doesn't seem like a good idea. I mean, I guess I can have episodes where I don't drink all the time, but anyway. I'm doing a Real World modified version. So keeping the Real World resources. Terrain, get rid of cliffs because cliffs are just annoying. They don't add really anything to the gameplay, in my opinion. They just detract from it and make it extremely irritating. I mean, I guess you can, if you want to do like a challenge thing to not take out any cliffs and you got to build around everything, that could be an interesting challenge, I guess. But it's not the way I like to play. They're just annoying. Never liked them from the beginning. I did adjust a couple of these just to adjust, the amount of trees and stuff. And water, and I kind of like this. And this seed is actually the Drunken Gamer, but in like phone numbers, yeah. So THE, so 843, and then Drunken Gamer. So yeah, that's how I came up with that seed. Makes it easy for you guys to find if you want. If I can figure out how to put the map exchange string in the definition or the description or something, I'll see if I can figure that out. But I don't think you can. I think it kills it. So if you really want to take a screenshot of this and type all that in, that's definitely an option. I will attempt to put it in string and we'll see how that goes. I don't know if it will, but yeah, I can at least try, right? And I don't think that goes to HTML very well, so I think YouTube, unless there's a way to like put a special box or something. I know on like programming sites you could do that, but anyway, continuing on, I did take it. I don't want peaceful mode. I want to be able to fight the biters, and enemy expansion is back on. So it's kind of and I also increased the size. That's why it's a Real World / Death World mix, because I increased the size of the biters bases and the frequency of them. I did increase my starting area because starting out is going to be pretty rough on this one. I'm using some mods and some specific blueprints. I'll go into that in a minute. Advanced, always turn on research queue availability. Never liked it how it's after the game is finished. By the time the game is finished, when you launch the rocket, what's the point in having a queue? It just doesn't make any sense at that point. It's not useful. if you've gone the entire game without the Q, researching the exponential things at the end is, what's the point? I don't, that's never made any sense to me either. I can understand maybe if it is a research itself that's like halfway up the tier, halfway up the research tree to be able to queue it or something. That might make a little more sense, but if it's either on or off, basically, I'll just take it on. Because yeah, trying to constantly having to monitor that is a pain in the ass. Everything else I've left pretty much defaults as a rail world. Mostly just expanded the enemy stuff. I do want to give myself a little more time between attacks. I think as I expand out, the bases are going to get so big and close together that it's going to be interesting to try and expand this base. So yeah, that will be interesting to see how this all goes. The other thing I'm doing with this run is I am using Nilaus's Base-in-a-book. If you're a fan of Factorio, you probably know who Nilaus is. He's really good at these games, these factory games, Dyson Sphere program, and this. And yeah, he's able to crunch the numbers really well. He builds interesting bases. We have a different purview, and I might show you some of my blueprints of my base grid that I put out. He's got what he calls city blocks, and they're basically the size 4 of the roboports will fill his city block, will cover his whole city block. Whereas my blocks are actually based on 9 of those in a grid, and then it's got railroad around it, where he's got his sacred path, as he calls it, the sacred path in between everything, which does make being able to get around the base very, very easy and convenient. That's great. And that is also why one of the mods that I've put on is the straight line car driving thing. It puts it on certain aspects, and I think it's set for 16 at first. So you'll have this, the straight north, south, east, west, and then the diagonals of each of those, and then the halves of each of those should be, or no, that's not quite 16, right? Is it? Yeah, that'd be 16. So you got certain angles that the car will snap to, and it'll make driving in straight lines much easier, and therefore driving through those sacred paths that he likes to build much easier. So they'll actually be useful. I guess running is, you can run on them and it helps with the running because you concrete it all and it makes it running faster, which is cool too. So, but in his Base-in-a-book is kind of a specific build of a base. It's kind of modular to a point, but overall the grid setup is a specific build. You got to build it in a certain way. So I am going to have some issues with this water here, because a lot of the beginning base is actually going to be where that water needs to sit. So I might need to move the base a little further over and eventually get rid of and just build kind of the jumpstart base and deal with that for longer and figure out where I'm going to build the actual base. Maybe I'll stick it over here because that looks like there's much more space here. That, or go clear out here, and there's going to be a lot of biter fighting. Your best bet is if you're going to use it straight out, find water that's on the other side so that you don't have to deal with all that water so early in the game. I guess I could just mirror it and mirror all the blueprints, and to be honest, there's a lot of blueprints I'm not sure. I watched a few of the episodes of his Base-in-a-book, and that's why I decided to go with it. It's about a year ago that he did these, and so it's going to be interesting. I'm going to be learning how some of them work as I go through. I did want to at least get the basics so I can get set up, because the early game is going to be rough for me with these biters. He does his on a much more peaceful option, a lot less biters attacking. He still has some biter issues. He's not like straight peaceful. They attack. So yeah, it's not a peaceful option. He's not in peaceful mode. I think he's just left the rail world default, so they don't expand back once you've wiped them out. And in later game, I like that they expand in. I like having to have my defenses up on the edges and have my walls up and stuff like that. He does do something similar where I used to do a lot of, when I have a base, I'll eventually surround it completely with walls and turrets and have a belt feeding all the gun turrets. And then later on, you upgrade those to lasers and replace them and stuff like that. And so he's already got that built, which I thought was pretty cool that he kind of did the same thing. It's for a lot of base, like a base defense, it's straightforward and pretty simple. I'm not sure how he ends up defending his outposts. I didn't get that far into the series yet, but I have my own ideas on how to do that stuff anyway, so I'll just use my stuff on that. I do prefer my way of the science build, so I'm probably going to use my blueprints for the sciences, and I'll show you that when we get to that point instead of his. Hopefully I can make it fit within his city blocks. I'll figure that out, and maybe I may just have to like expand an area a little more and just and do a different size of city blocks or something. We'll figure that out as we go, or not the different size of city blocks, but placed, maybe like put an extra line on the other side or something just to do the science, and we'll figure that out as we go. My main grid of my grid factory is more of a mega base size, and it's very slow to start out with, because it's so large and expansive, and to get all the different blocks in place, it does take a lot of time, a lot of resources, a lot of railroads, and early game it's rough to get started. Late game it destroys things. It's so fast to add whatever you need. If you're short on copper mining or copper processing, you just throw another copper processing grid somewhere, and just you can place them anywhere. That's the beauty of the whole thing. The grid is based on the railroads, so the railroads make the squares, and so the trains can go anywhere they want and anywhere they need to go. And in all the intersections, they're roundabouts instead of straight crossing. They're roundabouts, so in each intersection is a chunk of solar panels, and so you got power built grids everywhere, and it works out really well. It's kind of nice. So, but yeah, without further ado, let's get into the game here in a minute. I gotta pause for a moment. Okay, sorry about that pause. Also, I wanted to go through some of the mods to show you guys what mods I have. Can I go in here? No, kind of. Extended vanilla AC. And the mod. Fuck. Oh, you know what? We'll just do this. Mods. So these are the mods I'm using. I'm using Afraid of the Dark. Just lightened it up mostly because YouTube likes to darken games, and this game gets pretty dark sometimes, so it makes it where you guys can actually see what I'm doing at night. Auto Deconstruct removes the miners when they run out of resources. It automatically will set them to be deconstructed by the robots, which is nice. Beatrix just gives you a better warning signal for your locomotives when they run out of fuel, which hopefully shouldn't be a problem, but we'll see. Like I said, I've not used his base in the book, so we'll see how well the trains stay fueled and whatnot. In my base, I have a specific train fueling station that all the trains will go through. When you schedule your train, you make sure you have that stop in there, and it fills up every time and goes around, does its thing. It's not an issue. Closest first just has your bots save energy and time by building everything that's really close. So I've always hated that they like to go the furthest out as they can to build in the range. And if you have a large range, it takes for fucking ever to get anything built. Just fucking build close to the character. I'll move the character along as it builds up. Much faster, much more efficient. Crafting speed research allows me to. There's a research that actually increases your personal crafting speed. So I need to build things on my person. Sometimes this makes it go faster. It can be a little overpowered sometimes, it feels, but at the same time, each research gets more and more expensive, or each time you research it to increase it, it gets more and more expensive to research. So, and at end game, it does become infinite. You can just keep getting it, but it's like diminishing returns type thing because it's a percentage. Even distribution allows me to evenly distribute, when I'm dropping a bunch of coal and things, it'll just evenly distribute it across them all, which is just handy. All the extended vanilla stuff, so getting exoskeletons, fusion reactors, mining drills, personal defenses, just a bunch of different tiers of all these different items, which is kind of cool. I did take out the refining. I've used it. I think it's more hassle than it's really worth, to be honest. I'd rather just bring in more ore and just deal with that instead of refining it to get. I mean, you can eventually get it to where you're getting like 6 pieces of metal for each ore, and I'm like, meh, 6 or 8. I don't remember how it gets up to, but it gets kind of silly. But it's just too much of a hassle, and it's not going to work with his base designs, so I'm just not going to use it this time. Fill for me, just when you place a vehicle or a turret or something and you have the ammo or the fuel on you, it'll automatically place some of that in there so it's instantly ready to go, which is really handy, especially in this kind of situation where I'm going to be fighting a lot of biters. Long inserters just gives you long-handled versions of the fast filter and stack inserters, so you can do further distance but also filter, which has always been a thing, an issue. That's the main one I wanted, was the filter long and handled inserter. I can deal with the slower version, the slower speed of it being long handled, but just as long, I need the filter option sometimes. This is just a library, so it's used for some of the other stuff. Pump, it helps you build a pump layout. It makes it a lot faster than doing it manually. You can do the same thing manually, obviously, which we're all used to doing. This just makes it quicker. Power grid comb just kind of cleans up some power grid the cables that get random and convoluted sometimes. I am using a simple bot start, which means I'm starting with Power Armor 2, 2 personal roll ports, and 50 construction bots right from the beginning. We're going to be able to just build from blueprints, which would be great. 3 portable fusion reactors, which they're the lower tier, but it's still going to power me for just running around at first. 2 batteries, and but other than that, I'm still starting off with the basic weapons and stuff like that. Squeak through just allows you to squeeze through things, like so you're not completely blocked by a block of solar panels and stuff like that. You can get through them. Vehicle snaps, that one I was talking about, gives you on the different angles. Water fill, just like landfill, just allows you to place water. Why shouldn't you be able to? You can dig a fucking well. What's the difference? In some aspects, this can be a little overpowered because instead of having to transport water around to do, like for your nuclear facilities, you can just straight build a pump at the facility and immediately water it. But you can do self-imposed too, but sometimes it's nice to, like, if you over landfill something and you go, oh fuck, I didn't mean to do that, and you want some water still, you can put the water back. I do use it sometimes to get the immediate water so I don't have pipes going fucking everywhere. But yeah, it's mostly for that, just to decrease the number of pipes going everywhere. And wood stack to 1000, it's just a convenient thing because you end up with a ton of wood. I don't like just straight destroying it because eventually I do like to use some of it. But other times, it just takes it's early on, it's mostly to help the early on so you don't fill your inventory of the wood and you have 15 fucking chests holding all this wood, then you got to destroy them just to get rid of them. Fuck it, just to have bigger stacks and it's fine. So those are all the mods I'm using. I have tried as you can see, other start. The faster start, I didn't care for what it started with, and great start was way overpowered. You're starting with some, some machine gun, piercing ammo, unlocking all the bot speeds and cargo researches. I mean, that's a little too much. Otherwise, it's pretty much the same of what I'm starting with, except 2 exoskeletons. It was too much. So I liked this one. I like this one better. You still start out slower. You still got to build up to get stuff, but especially in this kind of death world that I'm kind of going into, I'm going to need a little bit more protection to start with. So those are the mods that I'm going to be playing with. So yeah, into the game. I guess we'll get it started. Okay, sorry, I needed to grab a quick bite to eat before we engage in all this. So off we go. So what I plan on actually doing right now is we're getting into the game. I'm going to kind of go through some of the blueprints here with you and maybe do a little bit of planning. And but I want to save immediately. Yeah, so that was the old Twitch play from back in the day. So we're going to save this as the Drunken Gamer. Season 1. So save that. And let's check out the settings for the mods. Okay, so outer deconstruct. Oh, so when it is removing drills that are using fluids, like for the uranium, it'll create pipes so that it'll take the drill out, but it's not going to disconnect them from the sulfuric acid. So type of pipe. Okay, is there different pipes to build? Whatever. Scan area, I don't know what that fully means. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe, I think it defaults to 40 by 40, so I'm just going to leave that there and leave it to default. Update rate normal. So most of these I'm just going to leave it normal. So on the startup, long inserter So you're going to color the entire arm. Okay. I actually did take that off only. Normally I do leave it on. But, so what this does is you have, like, military armors and, like, construction armors. Engineering, as they call it. So aggro, I guess, that'd be the military, and engineering. So only the engineering can have the really high-end tiers of the exoskeleton and the higher tiers of the roboports. But the military one are the ones that can have the higher tiers of the personal laser defense and the shields. In this world, I'm going to need the shields and the defense more, and so this just gives me the option to be able to put in the higher tier construction stuff as well. So the roboports and the being able to just fucking run the exoskeletons. So I mean, I can understand why they separate it sometimes, but at the same time, in this case, because I'm going to need the defense, I decided I wanted to do both. Maybe it's a little cheesy. We'll see. We'll see how it goes out. We'll leave that to whatever you've got equipped. Settings move to inventory screen. I don't know what that means, but okay. I guess we go to inventory and change the settings. Okay, so ammo load percentage of 25 and ammo load count is going to be 10. Okay. So max of 10? How about we'll just do a percentage. Available ammo to load into turret if using percentage-based loading. Maximum count to load into turret if using count-based loading. So I guess I'd rather just do 25%, and that way it splits it up. You know, if I do place 4 turrets, it's going to split a quarter each. That'll be fine. Don't want to blacklist anything. Don't want to ignore research. That's where the 16 thing is. So there's not a whole lot of settings, but so yeah. So there's that, and then we'll resume. Can't really pause. So yeah, we are starting with full armor, which is a little cheesy. Obviously, we've already got a bunch of shields. We've got some power. What the fuck is exploding? We can grab all this stuff real quick. The ones that actually, some of these contain some goodies. I do want alt. Okay, so the rest of these don't have anything. Yes. And I know you can mine them, but I'm just going to set them to be destroyed. Or not. Okay, I guess we got to like... Okay, we can pick them up. We just can't set them to be destroyed already. Okay, whatever. We'll figure that out later. I'm going to reload the save anyway, so that was kind of silly. Blueprints. No. That's not what I want either. So I do have my blueprints, as you can see. Bunch of bouncers that I was working on, but then I found all these, which is got fucking everything in different level tiers of blue, red, and yellow, which is great. I have used his oil refining in the past because it was just convenient. And these were my defense builds. But we're using Nilaus Base-in-a-book. So stage 1, stage 2. So I guess start out with stage 1. Stage 2 will be when we get into blue belts, yellow assemblers, and modules and beacons. Whereas 1 is few modules and beacons. So this will still take us through quite a bit of the game. Okay, what do we got in here? We got main base stuff. Oh, and they're all on a grid. Do you see this? -1-4, 0-4, 1-4, 0-3 main bus. Oh, he's actually got belts everywhere. I guess he actually went through with even the belt configure. Holy crap, that's a lot of belts. So, and my main bus is nowhere near as large as his when I normally play a bus-based factory. He's got like 16 belts for copper and 12 belts for iron, is I believe what he said. And I usually have 2 of each, and that runs the entire length of the thing. And I just upgrade it. You know, at first it's in yellow belts, and then when I start running not having enough, I upgrade them to red, and eventually I get to blue, and it seems to work for me at least. And when I do a ribbon-based stuff, all the different hubs. So, and these are based on -1-0 is actually based on where your initial resources are. So like my resources are going to be down here. Very slow at first. So this is the initial resources, and then he's gonna have. Is it in the generic blueprints? Yeah, there's the city blocks. And these should be, yeah, specifically, oh, figures, it's right on a corner. Fuck. So, so this is going to be weird to place. Because it's literally on the corner. So I guess technically I could probably put, this would be 0.0. And no, because your starter base would be in here. So this would be 0.0. And it's right in the middle of that lake. So that's not going to work. So I'm going to have to make some changes and get some landfill to really make this work. Or flip them. I don't know. That's kind of why I wanted to check it out and see. And this might not be a good map to start on because of that. We're going to use this base in the book. It's just, it's not going to, this map is not cohesive with his base in the book. So maybe we will try again and get a different map. Try a different string. So you got the different intersections, T intersection, straight piece, which you can just, I'm assuming you can just rotate for up and down. Same thing with this. They should be pretty cohesive that way. Mining outposts, from depending on which side you want the miners or in the train station. I don't know why it always goes down, but I guess you can just flip it around for the other way. I don't think the rail signals, they can't be mirrored, but they can be rotated. So that might still, I can, you know, just flip it around that way. And then an oil outpost, pretty straightforward on that stuff. Okay, so go back up to, so that was the train segments. The generic segments, so we got the city blocks. We have a paved city block, so his sacred path, which he rants and raves about, which, like I said, it makes running through the base very convenient, and driving through the base, for that matter, extremely more convenient. My grid does not allow for driving through the base very well. You will get run over by a train. Running's fine, just dodge the fucking trains. I'm usually pretty good about dodging trains. City block for automated construction also adds the roboports. And then I guess you could just throw this on after the roboport and it just adds your concrete. Solar power block. Defense. We're going to be using a lot of these. We're going to need a lot of fucking defense. Corner defense. Oh, this is convenient. I mean, it's built, ready to go. So just rotate. Hopefully they're rotatable and they work well. Reactor block. It doesn't say. It just says 8 reactor nuclear power. So I'm wondering how much power that actually generates. But with 8 reactors, you probably get quite a bit. It's like over a gigawatt at least, I'm sure. I think I had an 8 reactor design that was 1.44 gigawatts. So assuming he's running all the steam engines that he can from it and turbines, should be about that. Items on bus. What is that? Oh, okay. So that's just generic. This is where the shit's going to go. Okay, that's kind of convenient. But I imagine the bus itself was going to do that, right? Oh, okay. I see how he's got this. Oh, nice. That's convenient. He's actually got it placed in here like it's on the grid. So you start here. This goes to the left. That goes to the right. Each one goes up and around. And then, you know, on the outsides, you're putting the solar panels out here. And then the next grid spot would be the walls, the defense walls. Well, that's cool. He made this fucking easy as hell. See, this is why Nilaus is just like a fucking... He's crazy good at these type of games, and he's very particular and detail oriented, which makes us... That's why I decided to go with his base in the book, because I know it's going to work. He's done a lot of work and effort into this stuff. He's pretty cool to... It's actually kind of fun to watch because of this, because of how you're like, Jesus, how the fuck do you just do that so easily? It just comes easy to this guy. Or he's just put thousands of hours into this so much that it comes so easily. I don't know. Even the train, I mean, look at that. Like the base, this is the base. It's in that grid already. So that's pretty cool. And then you just use the generic ones for the solar panels and the defense walls. Cool. This is going to be makes it so easy. Look at that. and it comes in. You got all the different things, oil processing, and everything will just line up. It's going to make it so easy. Cool. So our biggest challenge here is, one, finding space to fit this whole base, and it's making it in these specific spots. And these are, and what he's got built here are balanced out to, and it's all red, so it might not. I wonder how well it's going to work with the yellow belts. And I guess we'll find out. I don't see the jump start base in here. He's normally got a little jump start base, so I guess I'm going to have to use my own jump start base, which I do have. And this is my grid frame. It's much larger, as you can see, because it's 9 instead of 4. So you can't really see where I'm pointing, and if I move this, it's not going to show you. But see the 4 in one corner? Those are his city blocks. So my blocks are a lot larger, but because of that, it takes a lot longer to get everything built. And this is already episode's going long, and we haven't even built anything. So this is just going to be an explanation episode, I guess. So here's kind of a starter base that I've set up. Gives you some defense around your original base. You just bring in copper and iron, and it builds. You get through a lot of the initial starting science and stuff. And these are just numbered in order. Like these are the first things you normally build. And then an expansion to the starter base, which adds steel and more iron. Does this add stone? It might add stone. No, it just adds another iron right now. So it's iron and steel and copper. And then this one adds some stone to build railroads and stuff. It's the rail add-on. So, and then power station tile, which we build. Nilaus builds his power stations differently than I do. I put them next to each other and put a space between the two turbines or steam engines, and so that you can get more squished this way. He puts the space every 2, and so they're more squished this way. So it just depends on how you prefer. I'm probably going to be using his for this because his fit inside his city blocks better, I think. I'll have to look into that a little. If it doesn't make that much of a difference, it doesn't matter, to be honest. And it's just potato type thing. They both work. They're just different ways of doing it. Either way, you got to have pipe pieces, and his way probably uses a lot less pipe pieces, because in this setup with that grouping of 8 on top, 8 on bottom, he would only have 2 pipes, and where I've got 8 pipes. So obviously his is a little more resource friendly. And so yeah, and it shows the steel towers, but you can use the regular wooden poles, and it works also. And then see, so this is my grid blocks. That's a train fueling block. Item pickup station that you can set on any side. It is rotatable. Same thing with the item drop station. Fluid loading, fluid unloading, sulfur pickup because it uses pipes and items. Science. So my science tiles are like this, and ultimately you can build them. It's expandable as far as you want, and you just connect. The inner line on the end. You just connect the belts. You have the 8 belts still to draw from. You have 2 sets. So it is longer this way. But really, you can zigzag it back and forth. The nice thing about my setup is it's not goes to the end of the belt and just ends. And so only the end ones are going to be able to get stuff after that. They continually run around in a circle, and as the station needs it, it picks it up. And this is the loading belt of wherever you started from. And then you can zigzag it back and forth up if you want, and then you can have this big block that way. You can have a really long one. You can just run and fold back. It doesn't really matter. And then you just load each of these belts up with 2 types. So you have red and green on one, you have blue and black on one, you have yellow and purple on one, you have white. So white gets its own, but you need a ton of fucking belts for all this. And then tileable science, automation, logistics, military, chemical. It's not that tileable because it's and these are based off of playing ultimately, and as you can see, that just fits inside my grid because it takes a lot and it gives you the loading stations and everything. Where I didn't do that with these, because it just kind of depends on where you want to build them. In early game, a lot of times you can build these before you get into the grid, the locks. So those are the intersections, just a circle. I don't know why I'm going through this. I'm not even using them on this thing, but this is just to show you the differences of what I've come up with versus what Nilaus came up with. Long rail segments, generic train station. So these were built for if you didn't want to do the whole grid, or you just want to have a section branches off to go get something. You can also do it that way. And then my initial start of the hub, which wasn't as effective as his. Ammo buildings, turrets, and radar. There's a solar intersection, a solar block if you just want to fill one of the big blocks with accumulators and solar blocks. Or processing. It is using those mods, this block, the vanilla extended refining. That's what their extra little sections that are there to refine them down to those things. Red and green circuits blocking. So it takes 2 blocks, but it produces mass quantities. Processing units. It's got the side stations are where the green and red come in. The top one's for sulfuric acid, and then the bottom one is where it goes out. Hence, it's got its own little train there. Plastic, which I've actually updated, which I need to update my blueprint. Sulfuric acid creation, bots creation. If you need more bots, which obviously, it's not just bots, but it also makes the roboports. And low density structures, so you can just, if you need more, you just take another block, and you just have these big squares. So we'll use this mostly for the starter base, and we'll get by with this big starter base for quite a while, probably. I wonder how big this is going to fit inside his city blocks. That might be interesting to see. So I guess what I can do, balancers are just convenient because I've got blue, red, and yellow, all these different balancers, clear up to 8x8. Balancers. I don't know if it does. I know he's got a thing with the side balancing and stuff like that. I'm not super worried about that right now. I just mostly want to be able to, whatever's going in, to all be able to go in and out at the same time. So if it just works, it'll be nice. Which that doesn't have the 12x12s. You don't have anything above 8. Okay. So we'll use that up to 8s, but then I've got a 10 to 12, a 8 to 12, and a 12 to 6, 12 to 10, 12 to 12, which I modified this one. It used to be blue, but I modified it into a red. I can't even remember where I got it from. I found it on the internet. So I can't take credit for these. I found these on the internet. I did modify this one to red, but it still takes a couple blue belts. I didn't look deeply into it to see if I can get it to work with red. Wasn't that worried about it, because usually by the time you need that many belts coming in on one thing, you can probably just get away with not, using it. But I did do it with a 12 because a lot of my stations are 12 to 12 balancers. And then you can just start, use less at the end coming out if you need less, and it'll all eventually come out through it. So it still balances out pretty well. So that's a lot to take in. My defense walls are just short segments, and you tile them as needed. Some extra defense, and those extra little blocks on the outside just slow biters down so you can kill them, and so it's not overrun really quick. Then this one starts adding the laser defenses, and then you just replace it completely with lasers. And so just different tiers of defensing capabilities. So yeah, we're gonna go with this, and I guess since it doesn't have the starter base, we'll use my starter base. And so really we need these city blocks. So just to test, because I am going to start a new map. Spaceship anyway. So this is his city blocks. And then how does this is the bigger one kind of. Whoops. Fit in here. Okay. We can fit in a city block. We can make this work. Yeah, we can do this. It fits within his city blocks. It won't fit with his roboports, but hopefully by the time we get to roboports, we can get rid of the starter base anyway. So this might still work. We'll just need some processing. So this would have to go like right here, and we'd process here type thing, or down here. So okay. So next episode, Fuck, this guy went long and we haven't even done anything. So next episode, I'm gonna go with a different map. I'm gonna try and find something without a huge water right next to the right of this. If it's on the left, we can deal with it. If it's on the right, it fucks with the whole design of this base. So I'll figure out a new thing. I'll set that in the description. Wow, this is a whole lot of talking with nothing action going on. This is terrible, but at least we got all this out of the way. We can just get into gameplay next time and see how things go. So yeah, until next time, folks, drink responsibly. We still got a good food.